Hi, I'm Lionel T with the Media Connection here at the Provident Mussionary Baptist Church on 8401 South Ashland, where a very special health and wellness seminar is being held for friends and family, and definitely for seniors, many who do not get the needed health information that can make a difference. We don't have to live with a lot of pills and medicines if we simply take the right care of our health. So join us now as we join those presenters that are giving us a bit of information and talk to some of the vendors at this very critical community event. And this is a free seminar at the Provident Mussionary Baptist Church. Let's join them.
What you should be looking for, women and men, is women especially, you should be doing your own self-breast exam. So you should become familiar with your body, especially your breast. You should look at your breast when you're undressed. You should look at your breast in the mirror. You should feel your breast when you're in the shower. As a doctor, I see your breast once a year. You see your breast every day. And you become much more familiar with what's normal and what's abnormal. If you have bleeding from your breast, if you have discharge from your breast, if your nipple starts to invert, that is go inside and it hadn't been, those are concerns, massive concerns. We very commonly have women walk into our breast clinic every day who, because there wasn't any pain, thought it was fine, but they walk into the clinic and the tumors actually had already eaten through the breast. And the only reason they come in is because of the odor. But I want you to get all of those signs that are early enough for us to intervene. So make sure you know about those signs. Those are what you're looking for when you do your exams. You can do your exam laying down, you can do your exam in the shower, do your exam sitting up. But I encourage you, if you have not, become familiar with your breast and what your breasts look like and feel like, because that can be the difference between an early diagnosis and a later diagnosis. The next cancer we're going to talk about is cervical cancer. Gentlemen, you don't have to listen to this part because you don't have a cervix. Okay? But cervical cancer, we know again, two things that are very important about cervical cancer. Cervical cancer, there's a vaccine for. The human papillomavirus, we know that 95% of cervical cancers are caused by that virus. It's a sexual contact virus. So, I have teenagers walk into my office all the time and say, Doc, I didn't have sex. Well, you had some contact. You might not have had sex the way you define it, but it's a contact. So I usually describe the HPV virus. Think about men's boxer shorts. Okay, everybody got that visual? Okay? Anywhere in that area of contact where those boxer shorts are is where you could potentially have a manifestation. So HPV not only causes cancers, so think about it. It causes oral cancers. It causes vaginal cancers, vulvar cancers, cervical cancers, penile cancers, anal cancers. So when we talk about vaccination, not only are we preventing cervical, because that's what everybody talks about, but we're preventing all of those other cancers. And we also know we're preventing pre-cancers. So when you are concerned about vaccines, as our population always is, we know that vaccines save lives. That's probably the most effective vaccine on the market to prevent cancer. And I'm always concerned because people don't line up for that vaccine. But if there was a breast cancer vaccine, the line would be wrapped around the building. And some of it is stigma. Very commonly people say, oh, she was promiscuous, or she had a lot of partners. It only takes one. I tell the women that I talk to each and every day who said, I waited till I was married to have sex, and now I have this. And I tell them, well, your partner may have slept with multiple people before you guys got together, and everybody that they slept with, you slept with the first time you guys had sex. So think about that. You're exposed every time to your partner, but also to anybody they were ever exposed to. So we have to always think about it. So it's not for right now, but it's for any time you may be involved. With screening for cervical cancer, we screen how? Pap smear. That's one way to screen. How else do we screen? Say again. Transvaginal ultrasound, not necessarily for cervix, but the virus. So we can test for the virus. So now screening for cervical cancer is twofold. Okay, there's a whole school of thought who thinks that screen first with the virus. If you don't have the virus, is there really a need for you to have a pap smear? Because the virus, as we know, the cause of what we're trying to screen for. So when we're doing pap smears, we're trying to screen for pre-cancers or cancers of the cervix. If you don't have the virus, it's unlikely that you're going to have the cancer. So that's one school of thought, and there's a lot of science behind that. The other school of thought says screen both pap smear and HPV, because we can pick up potentially a lot more. And then there are some schools of thought that don't have access to HPV testing, and not every hospital and clinic has access to it. So the pap smears are still a very good test. Everybody should start at least by age 21. That's probably the earliest. If you look at some screening guidelines that say you can stop at 60, but that's only if you don't have a new partner. And we know 60 is like the new 20. So we won't talk about partners. But also if you've had normal pap smears. So if you haven't been screened in the last 20 years, I'm not going to stop when you're at 60. So those are other things we have to think about. That's why the stopping point is always not a hard, fast, black and white for me as an oncologist. Next, we talk about colorectal cancer. So our goal there is to pick up pre-cancer, so precancerous polyps before they become cancerous. We have exact sciences here. Let's just sort of talk about how we screen. So there are many ways to screen for colon cancer. It really depends on how often you want to do it. So, right, exactly. Colonoscopy is one. So everybody, not everybody, because I see there's some young folks in the audience too. So for those of you who had a colonoscopy, you drink all of that fluid the day before, and you spend all your nights in the bathroom. Then you go in the next day and you get a colonoscopy. Basically, they give you a little sedation sometime. There's a long wand of a camera that goes up your bottom and around. Think about your colon. So your colon is like a picture frame. That's what we're screening for when we talk about colon cancer. We're not screening for the small intestine. That's the picture in the frame. We're just screening for the frame. So the camera goes up your bottom and around, all the way around to the other side, so that we can see if there are any abnormal lesions there. And if there are, then they cut those lesions out, because that's diagnostic and therapeutic. So I'm cutting it out because I don't know what it is. And if it's a precancer, I've now removed it, so that changes your risk for cancer. So colonoscopy, if you have a completely normal colonoscopy, every 10 years. That's why hands down colonoscopy is for me. I only got to be screened 10 years if it's completely negative. If it's abnormal, then you may need to be screened more frequently. So there are some folks that are screened every 2 years, maybe every 5 years. But that's a conversation you have with your provider. But know the screening works. There are also some stool tests that we can do for screening colon cancer. There are two, Cologuard and FIT. Those are both stool screening tests where they look at antigens in your stool. That's one way to screen. Another way to screen. And then there are fancy, and I'm not sure exactly who in the local area does it, but there is virtual colonoscopy where you take a little pill that ends up being a camera, and then they do a CT scan, and that is another way to illuminate what's going on in your bowel. Definitely less common, but we're here for education today. So those are some of the main ways that you can screen for colon cancer. When we're talking about colon cancer, what you need to be aware of, we talked about it some earlier, how frequently you're moving your bowels, the consistency of your bowels. So are your bowels now look like little strings? Stringy stool is bad stool. Usually if you have blood in your stool, that's a concern. Abdominal pain that doesn't resolve in the face of constipation. Those are all things that you should be concerned about enough to say, perhaps I need to be reevaluated so somebody can tell me what's going on. But again, colonoscopy saves lives. Lung cancer screening is a screening that's for a very exact population, but because we know that the number of lung cancers has increased and the number of women with lung cancer has surpassed men, I think it's really important that we talk about lung cancer. So lung cancer screening is done with the CT scan. You basically lay on a table, they put a little dye in your arm, you go through a little machine, takes pictures of your lungs. That's not for everybody. That's for people who are 55 to 80, who have a history of smoking, at least a 30-pack year of smoking per year. That means you smoked a lot in that time frame. And so what we know is that now with that CT scan, we can pick up little bitty lesions that potentially can be cut out so that we can get you before you have an invasive full-blown lung cancer where you need chemotherapy or radiation. So what do we look for with lung cancer? So shortness of breath is probably one of the most common things. Back pain that doesn't go away. Back pain probably could be synonymous with almost every cancer that exists, just about. If you're spitting up blood, that's a concern. If you have a persistent cough, now in the face of COVID, everybody who coughs thinks they have COVID, but that's not the case. But persistent coughs that don't go away, especially with a smoker, you want to be concerned about whether or not there's something going on with your lungs. So again, we've found that only about 1 in 5 who smoke and potentially should have this screening test have it. So I want this audience to be much more informed, where you know you have that history. When you see your primary care doctor at your birthday, you're going to say, should I have this CT scan test for lung cancer? And they're going to be like, wow, you're so smart. Yes, you probably should. Okay, but if you don't know to ask, they may not tell you. And I tell people all the time, it's unfortunate. Doctors have, 10 to 15 minutes, maybe an hour if it's a new patient, to spend with you, to go through your entire life's history and everything that's gone on with you since we saw you last year. So I tell my patients all the time, keep a journal, whether it's on your phone or on paper, of what's going on with you and questions you have. Nobody should ever walk out of the doctor's office without a question that they have about what's going on. And little scenarios like this help you have a little bit more information to ask those questions. Last cancer we want to talk about is prostate cancer. Now, women, you don't have to listen because you all don't have a prostate. But prostate cancer is another one where there's been a lot of controversy. The American Cancer Society definitely recommends screening, but the U.S. Preventative Task Force, which is another government agency that looks at how we screen and test for all kinds of things, how we vaccinate, but they recommend against prostate screening. And their thought process is that with prostate screening, we end up testing many more men than we probably need to. In the Black community, that becomes a question of concern because we know that there are many men who go into the doctor's office and never have their prostate checked. And we think that's a concern. So with it being a screening guideline, we can hold doctors more accountable to when they should be screening. We know Black men especially die at much more alarming numbers from advanced prostate cancer than really any other population. And so we want to ensure that our Black men are being screened for that. And how do you screen for prostate cancer? Give me a gentleman. There you go. This guy right here. We tried this one first. So there are 2 ways to screen. So a digital rectal exam. So if I have my pictures, you'll see when we put our finger in your bottom, right below there is the prostate. Okay, we can feel it. It's a very globular, spongy orifice, organ. And so when it's compromised, it becomes boggy, it becomes bulky, it can even become hard as a rock. So that's why that exam is important. We also screen with PSA. Again, a lot of controversy about what's a positive screen versus a negative screen, but in the Black community, we want to make sure that our men are followed closely, especially when you have a family history. So that makes you even higher risk. If your dad, your grandfather, your brother had a prostate cancer, there's not really any good reason why you shouldn't be screened. And so we want to encourage that. So when you're getting your annual exam, you want to make sure you're getting that. I actually had a friend call me last week and said, my dad was just diagnosed with prostate cancer. I requested all of his records, and in the 20 years that he's been seeing this doctor, he's never had a digital rectal exam. Shame on them. That should not be happening in this day and age because we know that we can pick up a lot. Men, what you should be looking for, you can't urinate. Your stream has changed. You're seeing blood in your urine. You're having back pain, leg pain, testicle pain. Those are all reasons why you should go in and be screened. And it was very important that you don't take that lightly and that you get in really, really soon. The last thing, and I'll close on, is we know that when we look at any of those screening tests, any test that you do came from a clinical trial. And so clinical trials in terms of science and medicine becomes really, really important. And we know that the vast majority of clinical trials, there are not folks in them that look like us in this room. There are very few Blacks, Asians, Latin seniors in those clinical trials. And so the All of Us campaign is an ambitious initiative for us to get 1 million diverse participants. We want to create a database of 1 million people who look like all of us, so that when doctors and researchers are going to do their trials, they have ready participants. Because we now know, and I won't name them because I don't want anybody to get nervous, but we now know that there are medications that Black folks take every day for high blood pressure and congestive heart failure that doesn't work in Black people. And so you're wondering why you still have congestive heart failure or why your blood pressure isn't controlled. It's because that medication was never made for you, and it was never studied in you, and they gave it to you thinking they could extrapolate from the white population what goes on to the Black population. And we know that that's not so. So I encourage all of you to go to joinallofus.org. Look at the clinical trial. It's not really a trial, it's more of a database, but it will now give researchers a ready database of Black and brown folks that they can now do their trials on. You don't have to go into their office because we collect specimens from you and we keep them in that database. So they can always go back to them and study them. But I encourage you as we close out today, know your body, understand that screening works and that it can save your life, and that if you keep silent about what's going on in your body, no one else will know. So thank you very much again for the invitation, and hopefully you guys have
one thing we know is that our family secrets in the Black community kills us because we don't want to talk about it. I shared with John over here with Cologuard Exact Science, my family history. I'm one of 8 in my family that has had a cancer diagnosis. And everything that they talked about from A to B on the stage, I can resonate with everything. I'm a stage 3 19 lymph node colon cancer survivor. So, a lot of you don't know my story. I've lost my mother, my sister, my brother, my 3 uncles, my 2 aunts, and a nephew, all to cancer. But we don't know. And I didn't have any of the symptoms. One morning, I just collapsed. I just hit the floor. And that was because I thought I was just too fatigued. But by the time I got my diagnosis, I was a stage 3 knocking on the door of 4. So I know my blessings. I don't take anything for granted. There's a reason that I stand here and we're doing what we do. So don't say you don't look like it. You don't know what it looks like. We don't know what's out here in the audience right now. But anyway, that's just a little bit about me. Come on up here, Mr. Bruce Taylor. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. But this is good information. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to let you know how important being here today is. Yesterday morning, when I woke up, I was in Berlin, Germany. I've been through London. I've been through New York. I landed in Indianapolis where I left. I slept 2 hours and caught the next plane to get here.
Thank you.
So I want to talk to you about the most powerful thing that all of us have with our health. It's our voice. It's our voice. Dr. Washington was talking about ask the questions. The good doctor was up here, write the questions down. If you want to feel like you just got run through an office visit, say, I've got a few questions I want to ask you before we begin. Every physician, every pharmacist will think, thank God. Because all of a sudden now you have a dialogue. And in that communication, you are advocating for yourself. Because it doesn't, advocating for yourself only comes from yourself. This past week, I worked with patients with diabetes around the globe. I spoke with people from 33 different countries, advocating for people to get help, how to advocate to be able to get the medications and devices to manage their condition. How many of you know somebody with diabetes? Well, that was better than a standing ovation. I was diagnosed 44 years ago. The least likely person ever to think would have diabetes, I was diagnosed at my Olympic physical. I was training 3 to 5 hours a day. I was in top peak physical condition. They say you're spilling the fourth blood sugar. Oh, that's not good. So my journey with diabetes began in 1979. I can tell you what I had to use to treat myself then to today in my lifetime is huge. I started with glass barrel syringes, which you had to boil, soak in alcohol, and you had to sharpen the needle with the bloodstone. I had urine strips. Now the clinicians is that you would urinate on the strip and you'd hold it up to this big vial and you'd compare the color and it would say, yes, your blood sugar was high, but you didn't know when or by how much. And you were on standard doses of insulin. I'm here today because of the research that's been done for all these new medications, new insulins, diagnostic tools, devices. People today diagnosed with diabetes, we can no longer take for granted that my community gets diabetes and it's just the way it is. No, it's not. You can prevent going to the hospital unless you really like going there. There's sick people in there, so I want to avoid it at all costs. Now, I was in 3 hospitals in Berlin meeting with researchers. That I consider okay to go to the hospitals to see them. But it's your voice. The reason why Tasha and I got introduced is that we're working as a coalition of people with Cook County Hospital in order to change the access to care for the Black community in Chicago. I published a research paper with my very good friend, Dr. Gary Punker, who's the president and CEO of the National Minority Quality Forum. I can tell you the impact of diabetes for every zip code in the United States, broken out by gender and ethnicity. It is unacceptable to see the numbers. The reason why I'm here is by not doing something because I know that information makes me complicit to turn a blind eye. Makes me complicit to turn a blind eye. So as I work with advocates around the globe, my debate and my profession is I debate with politicians, federal governments, state governments, governments abroad, that they need to invest in these new medications, these new screening tools, these new diagnostics, these new devices as an investment in people's health, not an expense. Because I like family reunions. I like everybody there. There are certain things that my aunts make that nobody else can make even though I have the recipe. And I've tried. And I've been with them in the kitchen and said, how'd you do that? You have that same experience. Yeah. Our job is to defeat and tease the grim reaper to say, I'm not ready yet. And just because you have a chronic condition, you cannot accept the fact that it's fait accompli. It's not. There are medications and devices that will cut you going to the hospital in half. My job, Tasha's job, this coalition's job, is to make the policymakers in the government, the county, and the federal government aware to make sure that people have access to get this information, to get this technology, to prevent them from going to the hospital. The doctor was talking about all the screenings in oncology. 20 years ago, that wasn't the case. Look at the investment in research and what's happened. But I want to bring you back. The best defense you have is your best offense, which is your voice. Your voice, a little piece of paper and a pencil, pen, crayon, whatever, to write down what are those questions you want to ask the physician. My discussion with my endocrinologist, Doc, I have days where I can't keep my blood sugar under 200. There are days that I'm eating sugar tablets because I can't get it above 80. Why? Well, welcome to diabetes. But then he asked me, well, what are you doing to treat those highs and lows? And that's what the discussion was I doing it right? Because guess what? It's not your doctor's diabetes. It's not your doctor's congestive heart failure. The ownership has to come from home. I'm the father of 2 grown daughters, and I have 5 grandchildren. 2 sets of boy girl twins and a little girl. Now I can tell you, when I get home tonight, I haven't seen them in a week, my joy is going to be when all 5 of them try to crawl on my lap. But me taking care of me makes sure that I'm there for them. That's my commitment to them. My devices, if you hear a beep, either my sugar's high or sugar low. But I have a device that saved my life. I was in Barcelona, Spain in November. Yeah, Barcelona. 3 o'clock in the morning, my device, I'm in Barcelona, in Indianapolis, my oldest daughter gets an alert that my sugar was going low. She panicked, she called a woman on my team who called my boss, who called the hotel. Security came to my room, knocked on my door. My blood sugar was 42 and going south. The reason why I'm here today is because of technology. That technology should be available for everybody. Because as we take care of our parents, we take care of our children, we take care of everybody else. But me sharing my data with my daughters and my wife and my sister, I'm accountable to them. They show zero mercy with me managing my diabetes because they're as committed as I am to wanting to stay around. But it's through that. But again, what's the consistent piece? It's the voice. There's the voice of a phone call. There's the voice of a security guard with significant language difficulty saying sugar low. And when I quickly realized that in my backpack, I had little packets of candy. I had 2 different products that I had for low blood sugar. And I sat there for an hour and a half to see my blood sugar go from 40 to 95 with an arrow saying it was finally stable. That's a frightening experience. I heard the Grim Reaper giggle. When I got to 90, I said, not today. But again, own your health. Own your temple. Sometimes you may need to goad your friends. You may need to goad your family. Just let them know that you care and you love them, and sharing your voice for them to take accountability and responsibility. And if you can Google and research things to share that information with them. When my parents were alive, I would go to their physician's visits with them. There's a 3.5-hour drive from Indianapolis to just west of Toledo. Because they didn't like asking the questions. Oh, the doctor will tell me what to do. So you got to communicate with the doctor. And then I would give the doctor the symptoms, and they would say, Virginia, how long have you been having this? Well, I've been having this for a couple of months. Why didn't you tell me? The reason why they're there is sharing. All the education that the docs go into, their mind is trained with algorithms. They take different pieces of information, and that one little comment that you give them with your voice is the piece to the puzzle that they have been missing. So we need to share it. So on behalf of the entire coalition that we're working with to impact the community in Chicago, I'm going to reach back out because I need your voice. I need your voice. The beautiful thing is you get one voice, you have a soloist. If you get a room full of people, you have a choir. And how impactful is it when you hear a choir and the goosebumps go up your arms and you feel a spiritual moment? That is the peace. So I'm going to ask you, when I reach out through Tasha, I'm going to need your voice. We're going to need your voice. Because it's not about us, it's not about I. We, all of us in this room, can impact and affect change. I am blessed that my passion is my profession. I don't care what country, what culture, what language, or what religion. When we speak, people listen. So use your voice. It's an absolute pleasure and an honor to be here with you today.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. I hope that this has been some good information for you. And for those of you that have the programs, if you don't have one, can you raise your hand? Okay, can you please make sure? This is what we need from you. We need for you to, if you go to our email address, or if you text me what you would like to be educated on. You know, we don't micromanage anything. You let us know what is good for you. We try to bring, we do, I would say try. We work hard to bring people to the community that we think would bring good information and what is a need, you know, that we as people need. I think a lot of this, we have to stop diagnosing ourselves, misdiagnosing, and what another person may tell you is something, especially for our colonoscopies and for our men with prostate. They get horror stories. You know, you get the myths and then you try to get the truth. And for mammograms, we know as women that that's not anything easy to do. So how many women, I'm going to tell you, a few days ago I was on the phone with a woman that called me and she needed medication and I did my regular thing I'm going through. And then she said, well, I haven't seen the doctor in 2 years. I'm like, what? And then I have to get quiet because I have to use my composure because that's her choice, regardless of what I believe. And she said, well, I just felt good. I didn't think I needed to. But for me, as a woman, speaking to a woman, I just thought those things are so important, you know, that we need. But then I began to internalize because of what's happened to me and to my family. So there wasn't anything that I could do for her but to direct her to contact her insurance carrier. And she did phone me back and thanked me and said, you know what, I did what you told me. You know, so let's do better if we want to be here. But in order for us to do better, we need for your insight to come. I want to thank my Pure Plus people that are here. Come up, Miss Claudette. Okay, Claudette is here. Parents, can you stand up? Can my green t-shirt people stand up? They're here, there's May, there's some of them are in the other room here. I don't do this in a vacuum. It may seem like it, but I have a whole team that specializes in different things that we all do. I have my family members that are here that come out and support, you know, the work that we do. We want to thank everybody that was here, that's here and on the panel. And we encourage you in the time that we have left, please visit the vendors that are in room 1 and visitors that are in room 2. I know a couple of people wanted to say something. I have something in my pocket right here that I needed to read. Okay. Dr. Allison Lackland, is that, okay, right here, this is with the Northwestern table here, and her piece is around what, about healthy aging, Alzheimer's and dementia. So that's her table right there, those tables. Please go by and get those resources. We have a massage therapist in the other room. They're doing blood pressure over there. Please look into the phone tap call, and what was the other one we had?
Pace.
Yeah, and pace. Those are important. And we do have refreshments, but we must follow the protocols of the church. So we could not readily let you sit here and eat, but we do have refreshments available for you as you exit. Sandwiches are already prepared. There's chips, there's water, there's napkins. We are thankful that this church is working with us. Can you come up and say a few words? You know? Oh, I like that. She said no. Okay.
No, I think you've said it all. I thank everyone for coming out today.
Thank you.
Bless you, bless you. Hopefully we'll be doing, well, not hopefully, we will be doing more of these soon. So for those Providence members that are still here, let me know what you want to hear. Let me know, and I can bring that to you. Thank you guys again.
And one more thing, if you look at the back of your program, April the 4th, we have an event that's coming up, and we're hosting that event during spring break. Why? Because we want you to come out, bring your children, your grandchildren, or your great-grandchildren, because the kids are on spring break. And we're gonna have meetings for the children, okay? Please enjoy our vendors. Make sure that you go over and speak to our gentleman over here with Color Guard. We have a little bit of everything in this room. Yes, Dr. Washington?
I got one thing.
Okay, one thing you want to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is my first time being on the panel, so I was trying to get a little information, but I forgot the most important thing. I want to acknowledge my wife, Jill. Please stand up. She's a accomplished marathon runner. So if anybody's interested in learning about running, she can tell you a lot about running and exercise. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, my progressive family, for being here, and thank you, Providence, for letting us use your church today. So please enjoy our vendors. Thank you all. Welcome.
Well, we are in the record.
Well, see, when you were already speaking when I came in.
Okay, no, I'm not familiar with that. But like I said, the doc might know more about that field. When you talking about the colonoscopy, didn't you say that? That would be the person. Yeah, that's the comments, yeah. Yeah, she's an expert in cancer and colonoscopy and all that. You know, I just know more about
Right, because I was trying to explain to the doctor that it just makes me sick, and he couldn't grasp what I was telling him.
She'll be able to help you out tremendously.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Dr. Michael Washington.
Yes.
Hi, good. I'm Naima Latif with the Media Connection TV, and we, of course, are very grateful that you've come to share your information. A lot of seniors.
Let me come around over here with you.
Well, let me come around where you are. Why don't we do that? Okay, I'll come to where you are. And that way we can. Okay, so now we're going to talk to Dr. Michael Washington. And let me come around to where you are. All right, here we go.
don't know they're getting hurt.
All right. And let me bring this back just a little bit. Okay, here we go. All right.
How you doing? What's your name?
Excellent. I'm Naima Latif.
Naima?
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Well, Dr. Washington, a lot of people, especially seniors, have been afraid to leave the house since the COVID virus. And, you know, you gave some very valuable information about just health maintenance. But also, there are people who don't want to feel like they have to be heavily reliant on pharmaceuticals just to maintain basic health.
Sure.
Are there ways that people can be health conscious? Maybe something they can do regularly. Some of the things that we used to do, like, you know, a spoonful of castor oil every night, or, you know,
Castor oil, wheatgrass. The most important thing is to make sure your immune system is strong as it can be. If you think about your immune system as like a juggler, it's juggling all the systems in your body. And so when COVID attacks your body, it overtakes, you know, it's too much. It's like anything else. It can only handle so much. And so healthy rest, sleeping, washing our hands, wearing masks. And this is another thing too, people don't understand. There's a difference between a 3-ply mask, which is like a blue mask that you see people wear. And then what I have on is a KN95, which is a 5-ply. So you have more protection. And when you go out, people think that the virus is over. It's not. Actually, there's a new virus that they've seen as of February the 10th in Nebraska. It's called Kraken, and there's just a name for it. It's more aggressive. If you think about a virus, it doesn't know it's killing people. It's just trying to survive like we're trying to survive. And so when you get the vaccine, it's like the virus is like a key going into a lock. So you're trying to prevent that lock from turning. You know how you can put a key in the lock and it'll go in, but it won't open up. And so the virus is trying to figure out how to get into our bodies. And so the immunizations help trick the virus so it doesn't get
force field or shield.
Yeah, just it'll go in there, but it doesn't affect. Like right now, if you're vaccinated, you might get COVID, but you won't be hospitalized because it helps create T cells. Your body's immunity creates T cells that help kind of memorize. It puts a memory so that when you're exposed to that next time, your body always says, oh, I know what that is. So that the soldiers can start fighting. So but your question was about what can you do versus taking
Yeah, I mean, there are things, I'm sure that there are probably a lot of natural things we have right in our cabinets. Like, I understand that garlic, and my mother takes a clove of garlic every day and has no illnesses at all. But are there some things that can just naturally build up your immune system?
Eating from the ground, your green leafy vegetables. And from what I've read currently, that walnut is a superfood. Walnut is a superfood. Now, I haven't had a chance to do a lot of research, but they said that antioxidants, people always use that term. That means that in your body, when you eat food, there's a chemical reaction going on. And so sometimes those reactions create particles in your body in a cellular level that make things go bad. We eat all kind of toxins. So when you take antioxidants, like fruits and vegetables and green leaf, you hear that all the time. That means that helps stop those chemical reactions from going awry. You know, the chemical cells, they do what they're supposed to do when you take antioxidants. And people don't really understand that. Like I said, in our community, it's about, you have to know. Like I said, no longer can we just depend on the healthcare system. You have to take care of yourself. Yeah.
So, and one last question, you got some people who want to talk to you.
She's fine.
But oh hey. so you know, people assume that aging means automatically your body falls apart, but I understand that just drinking water can do a lot to keep you youthful, keep your body from holding toxins. How much water should a person drink daily
Well,
to
let's think about this.
stay healthy?
Water is essential. Like I used the analogy when I was up speaking about your car and the body. You put oil in your car, right? So it runs smooth. You know, if you don't put oil in your car's not going to run properly. So that's the same analogy with water. For men, we need between 8 and 12 bottles of 8-ounce water a day. Women need to be 6 and 8. Of course, that depends on your body weight and everything like that. So, but yes, water is not an option. In order for your bowels to move, you need to have water in that 27 feet of intestines. So when your intestines squeeze, if there's no water, it's just going to clog. And that's why people don't have constipation. But like I said, when you eat those grapes, fruits and nuts and vegetables and green leafy and spinach and kale and all those things help create fiber. You know, the nuts and almonds. I started eating almonds and grapes. Like at nighttime, instead of me eating chips and stuff like that, I get a big bowl of grapes, and I have cherries, almonds, and that fills you up. That fills you up. It really does. And like I said, when you're eating food, you know, we always want to drink something cold when we're eating. Well, consequently, that's cold, and that helps stop the digestion.
So it should be more like room temperature.
Room temperature, yeah, or tea, because it helps move that out. You ever like eat something and then you take a sip of cold and it feels like it gets stuck? Well, if it's getting stuck in your esophagus, that's this big, it's going to get stuck in your intestines as well. So you want to drink the room temperature water while you're eating. You really want to drink the cold water before you eat, because that helps shrink your stomach. You know, you put a cold compressor, something swollen, you put cold on it, so it shrinks it. So if you were to drink that cold bottle of water before you eat, it's going to help curb somewhat of your appetite, because your stomach is not expanded as far. It's shrunk a little bit. Yeah.
Learn something new. Okay.
But you gotta drink water. Have to drink water. It's not optional. And pop is not water.
Pop is not water.
Juice is not water. Now you can get some water from that, but we talk about those grapes, right? Watermelon. You think they call it watermelon just by accident? It's got a lot of water in it. So if you don't like drinking water as much, you have to supplement that with watermelon, fruits, and then all that stuff. Green leafy vegetables. So that's what we need. And we have to take control of our health. It's our health. You know your body better than anybody else. Like I said, about going to the bathroom. If you're not going to the bathroom at least twice a day, you're probably dehydrated. And you can tell. You can look at your lips.
They're chapped, and you know that you don't have enough water.
Right. There's another thing called turgor on your skin. Like when I lift my skin up, it goes back to the natural. When you're talking about seniors, if you got somebody older that you care about, lift their skin up and see, does it stay up like that? And it doesn't go back down smoothly, they're dehydrated. So that's very, very important. Very important.
Wow. Well, thank you so very much. We appreciate these health tips.
Nuggets of knowledge.
Nuggets of knowledge. All right.
Like you want, we want quality of life.
Yes.
Not just quantity.
Quality. You want to age without sickness.
You want to enjoy your wonder years.
That's right.
You worked hard when you were young and vigorous to get to this point. Now, all you can do is sit down and lay around. That's no quality of life. No. So let's just keep working and do those things and have some lifestyle modifications to help us live better and healthy.
All right, you heard him. Dr. Michael Washington, community pharmacist. And where can people reach you if they want more information?
I'm going to set up a website. It's going to be wggtp.com. I'm working on that now. Like I said, this is one of my first events that I've been on the panel. I've always talked to people and shared my information. This is my first time. So I'm building up that presence on social media at wggtp.com.
Thank you so much.
We give God the praise.
You can remember that. We give God the praise.
wggtp.com. So that I'm going to work on the website. So all that information and those nuggets of knowledge will be available to everyone.
All right. We'll be looking for it.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Have a fantastic day.
You too.
Okay.
All right. And I'm Naima Lateef. We're going to continue on with some more right here at the Provident Missionary Church. And come on down. If you're around, 8401 South Ashland. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Stop talking to him.
20 years. Well, let me get on over here and see if I can talk to the. Oh, wonderful. Let him. Oh, you did a great job. Yes, you did. Hey. Well, let me grab the owner, and I'll come right back and tell me about it. Because I'm gonna see if I can. All right, I'll have to make that happen. All right. Well, thank you so much. Hey, how are you? Still working hard, I see. Yes. All righty. We're gonna talk to the facilitator of this event and get more on why it's important for us to be aware of our health. Definitely, we want to jumpstart our health and wellness and make it possible for us to enjoy our quality of life. And let's, okay, that camera, okay. We got 51, okay, we're gonna stop it now. And we are gonna talk to the facilitator of this event, Phyllis Rogers of Peer Plus. All right, here we are. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, let me make sure I have your name. So give us. Oops. So now give me your name and spell it. Oh yeah, you can do it. You great. Yeah. Great.
Is this live or not?
Yes, it's live.
I don't know what I'm saying. Let me know when.
Make sure we get your name.
Oops, sorry. Let me know when. All right, this is John Alexander for On Air Magazine. I am speaking with who?
My name is John Straub with Exact Sciences.
Exact Sciences. Now, some people know it as Exact Science is what? Cologuard?
It is Cologuard, the dancing box you may see on television commercials.
So what made you come here today and introduce this to the people again? I mean, everybody knows it, but what's special about today?
Yeah, special about today, a couple of things. Number one, colorectal cancer is the most preventable yet least prevented cancer. When it's caught in stages 1 or 2, it's incredibly curable. But when it goes to stages 3 and 4, the recovery time is not good outlook. The African American Black community, unfortunately, are at higher risk for colorectal cancer. And oftentimes there's a stigma about getting screened. So I'm here to talk about the need to get screened and early detection.
Okay, so you talk about getting screened. So what is the process to the audience? And when they doctor prescribe this, what is the process for this point? How do they get all this in started?
Yep, absolutely. So Cologuard is prescribed by their provider when they go in for a meeting. And when it's time to get screened for colorectal cancer, as long as they're 45 and average risk, they're eligible for Cologuard. This box arrives by UPS. Right,
I know about that box.
You know about that box. Yeah, absolutely. And then simply, this is a do-at-home test.
Yeah.
So literally all they do is they lift up the toilet seat. They put the bracket down, put the toilet seat down. The sample container is placed there. They simply have a normal bowel movement. That's it. They take this back out. They use this probe to scrape the outside of the stool. This goes back inside the box. And then they pour the contents. This is a preservative over this remaining stool.
Okay.
They put the top back on, screw it on, and then a label goes on here. A label goes on here. They go back into the box, and they simply call us, and UPS will pick it up.
Okay, that's good. So have you did this test yourself?
I have done it twice. I did it at age 52, and now I had my rescreen at age 55.
Well, I'll be 66, so it's my time again this year.
Good for you. I would not have guessed that.
Well, nobody ever does because I stay in shape. You know, I got to have some fun with this stuff. But last question, what made you connect with Peer Plus?
With Peer Plus, we've been working with our health equity team at Exact Sciences, and Travell has been working with the leaders here for quite some time now. And so we've really taken a real interest in health equity and reaching out to the communities and just trying to get people screened because there are huge disparities, as you know.
We want to thank you for coming out today. This is John Alexander with On Air Magazine signing off. We'll be right back. We got a few more people we want to interview, so we'll be right back. Stay tuned. She don't tell me when to move, when not to move. Do we stand?
It's STR. And your first name? That's STRAB, John, John.
Like me?
John.
Yeah.
And then
STRAUB.
STRAUB.
Oh, sorry, I was stumbling over my words.
Me too.
I'm like,
well, let me see a little bit.
Come here, David. Hold on, wait. I'm gonna interview. You got to interview David yesterday. We got it. She want to interview you.
Sure.
She had me do the interview this time. I don't be doing this kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
So you next.
Okay. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Am I okay?
Don't you go to work? I got to interview my little brother. Alrighty. Oh, let me get this sweat off me. Y'all got me hot as I don't know what. Let it go online. I don't care. This will happen when you're working hard. I got a young man coming up pretty soon that you got to hear from. You got to hear about that museum. I'm not going to say it right now until he comes on. But
All there for you? You got what you want? Okay, you're fine.
this is live, so we're at the event right now, so it's going to be a lot of stuff going on. This is John Alexander. We're back with On Air Magazine. And I got the pleasure of speaking to today?
Phyllis Rogers.
And Phyllis Rogers, what do you do?
I am the founder and CEO of Peer Plus Education and Training Advocates, a registered nonprofit in the state of Illinois.
So now, what is all that long list you just said? What do you do? What is that?
We provide support, services, and resources to families in need. And who is that family in need? That's me and you.
You and I?
You and I.
Okay, just want to correct you. That's all.
Absolutely. That's right. We could use those services at any given time.
Good.
At any given time. So today we're honoring Black History Month.
Okay.
In partnership with Provident Mussionary Baptist Church.
Now, you had a whole slew of people here. That's the wrong word to use. You had a whole bunch of creative people here.
Absolutely.
So how did you have to get all these folks into one room when everybody else can't do that?
Phone calls.
You make a lot of them, don't you?
I make a lot of phone calls.
You called me too, didn't you?
Absolutely.
And you called her too, didn't you?
Absolutely.
And you called David too, didn't you?
Absolutely. I call everybody. Yeah. Been
So if you
doing
want to
this for 21 years.
So if you want to leave one good message with the people here, what would you want to say to the people in the audience about your organization?
I would say Peer Plus is your community port to getting to the services that you need.
Give me an example of
Okay, let's say that you phoned me right now about someone that you saw present today. And I would ask you a few questions. Mr. Alexander, tell me exactly what it is you need. Are you looking for more information around heart disease? More information around heart disease. Or do you have a family member that needs information around breast cancer? Remember, men get breast cancer too. There you go. We talk about prostate cancer. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down our list and try to match you with the services that you are in need of.
And that's good you said that, because I spoke with the guys that was doing the help from Social Security.
Yes.
They not Social Security. But he asked me, did I have my Social Security card or with that Medicare card? And I told him I didn't get it yet. He said it's supposed to be automatically sent. I didn't get it. So I'm working with him now to even get that done. So by being here with you today, I got the services done. Listen, audience, connect with Peer Plus. They're going to get you done. They're going to find out everything you need, and they're going to point you in the right direction. The Bible says walk a straight and narrow path. This is a straight and narrow path to your health, to your schools, to your work, to fundraising, to everything. Hook up with them. This is a great organization to be with. I'm with them. I'm her photographer, and I'm interviewing her. Could you believe that? But anyway, any last words you want to say to the folks at home?
I just want to say thank you to everyone that came out. It's hard sometimes to get people to come out on a Sunday. But we like to partner with people where the congregation is already at.
Now, you got something special going on, because ain't Cologuard doing something special for you?
Absolutely, absolutely. This Wednesday, I will be in Tucson, Arizona for
Doing
the
what?
Golf Classics.
And who's representing you?
I think it would be Cologuard Exact Science. The golfer is going to play in my honor.
Why? Because you can't play or what?
Well, you know,
I met you. You put me on a golf course while we was on the inside. So why you not playing golf?
I'm going to learn how. I'm going to get some tips
Well,
on how next year when we go, then I will be out there on the greens
I ain't
with the
gonna lie
nine.
to you. I don't know how to play golf.
You don't have to play.
I don't know how to play either. I be swinging at the golf ball like a baseball. My son told me, he said, Dad, that ain't how you hit the golf ball. I said, well, son, this is the only way I know how to hit it. So I ain't going to do it your way. I'm not playing golf no more.
I got it.
But this is John Alexander.
Yes.
We're signing out for the On Air magazine, and we'll be right back.
Now, let me tell you something. This young lady at this table here has benefited from my services since 2015.
Well, that lady there? Oh, I ain't going to interview no lady. I'm going to start flirting. So I'm. Hold on, David. Wait a minute. David, I need David.
Oh, we're gonna have David. Oh, okay.
Let me get David first. Yep, I'm going to interview David. Any children? David A. Peterson.
Since 2015, she's been
You on this side, David?
from my service.
Hey, now you got to also listen to him so you can hook up with his organization.
Okay. Oh, cool.
But this is the president of this organization I'm getting ready to talk about right now. He don't look like a president. He don't look like one, but he's a great president. I actually had to do his event yesterday. He is a young president. P-E-R-T-E-R.
P-E-T.
Oh, no, I'm spelling your name too fast. Okay, guide me, man, because, I don't know that much
Sure,
about
I got it. And I'll make the tie with my Healthy Chicago Equity Zone.
Okay.
What's the name of the business?
Pullman Porter.
Yeah, just perform important museum.
Are we still doing stuff? Is it still running? I hate StreamYard. No, I like StreamYard. Just come on over here with it. We don't care. You ready? And guess what? We're back again. I'm standing here with David A. Peterson of the Pullman Porter Museum. As a matter of fact, he's just not the Pullman Porter Museum. He is the president, one of the youngest black, smartest young man that I know. David, tell me a little bit about the Pullman Porter Museum.
I appreciate that. The National A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum is the world's first and only Black Labor History Museum. We're located on the far south side of Chicago in the historic Pullman district. And in addition to that, more fitting for this specific setting, the Pullman Porter Museum is the Pullman Community Lead for the Healthy Chicago Equity Zone. And that's a branch of the Chicago Department of Health. Okay. And what we've done is on the far south region for the last 2 years, starting right around COVID, we were leading community focus groups on health disparities in the community, doing vaccine education, administering vaccines for people free of charge, and just doing a lot of community convening around healthy lifestyles. So at the museum, we're a Black Labor History Museum, but at the same time, because where we are demographically, we're forced to do more with less. So that gives us the capacity to work with Healthy Chicago Equity Zone, violence prevention opportunities, and just workforce development opportunities. We do a little bit of everything.
Now, David, I've been knowing you for 5 years now almost. How did you become the president of such a prestigious museum?
Well, in addition to me being, a young man who was, mentored and an intern at the museum and a volunteer, I have the privilege of being the son of the founder, Dr. Lynn Hughes. So I was kind of, introduced to that through social learning theory, through the environment that was cultivated at a very young age. And, that gave me the privilege to do it. But it took me, going our way to school at Florida A&M University, and coming back and going to grad school at DePaul to realize how much of an opportunity it was to be able to lead such an institution.
So you went to HBCU?
Yes, sir.
And then you went to a
PWI, predominantly white institution.
Right, and that's a Catholic school, right?
It is.
So how do you mingle the two?
Well, I actually grew up in the Catholic Church, St. Sabina Church. Shout out to Father Flager.
Yes.
So, I kind of had, that duality as it was already.
Right.
But, it really wasn't a big deal. It was just, just another school.
Well, let me ask you this question. And it's going to be the last one because I don't want to hold you up. Well, it might be last 3 or 4 questions. Let me see. Well, you had an exciting event the other day.
We did.
Tell us a little bit about what went on at that event.
Well, at the event, we celebrated our 28th anniversary with our annual Gentle Warrior Awards Gala. So basically, what we were celebrating is the 28th year of being America's first and only Black Labor History Museum.
Wow.
And that was a celebratory event. We had an opportunity to honor some local heroes and sheroes. And that was a good deal for us. We were able to honor Tina Sanders, CEO of Failings Family Services, actually who I work collaboratively with the Healthy Chicago Equity Zone. We had an opportunity to honor Stacey Davis Gates from Chicago Teachers Union, and had an opportunity to honor Judge Annette Hubbard.
Oh yeah, we can't forget her.
Yeah. And on the labor side, Liz Scholler, she was actually the vice president of the American Federation of Labor, and a gentleman by the name of Mr. Redmond. He's the highest Black ranking official in American Federation of Labor.
So I'm gonna let you close this out.
Sure.
We need to do a fundraiser. We need to raise money to help. Not you don't need it and don't need it, but you do want people to contribute. How would they go about doing that and getting in contact with you?
Well, you can visit our website at PullmanPorterMuseum.com. And again, what we're fundraising for is the expansion of our museum. So we're expanding with the Jesse Jackson Civil Rights Wing, and we're creating the world's first Black labor tourism district. So we're excited about that because it'll give us the opportunity to tell the grand stories of the Black labor history on a larger scale. This is a story that started in the 20s. And we're trying to take it into the 3000s.
And we need to know about that. I even need to know about that. Dave, I want to thank you again, man. It's always a pleasure, to shake the hand of a young Black president. Because, ain't too many people like this here. Is there any one thing you want to say to the audience before you go?
Yeah, health is wealth. So it's important that, particularly on the far south side of Chicago, we take being healthy serious. From the access to information to studying alternative methods of medicine. And, once again, just the foods that we consume. We want to make sure that we're, being intentional about leading a healthy lifestyle.
David A. Peterson, John L. Alexander with On Air Magazine. We'll be right back. Thank you, man. Always. You do, thank you. I should interview Dr. Mike.
I'm sorry. All right, let me see if Yes.
Trying to get out of
And I'm Naima Latif. And of course, you have been here with the Peer Plus Aware with Care Health Seminar. Your health is your wealth, as you heard. And you need to make sure you follow the advice of these presenters. Don't let your body fall apart before you decide to take care of it. You can stay in perfect health at all times. Love yourself enough to take care of your health. Aging doesn't mean getting sick. It just means growing in wisdom. I'm Naima Latif with the Media Connection for On Air Magazine, and we'll see you next time.